Welcome back to The Unfuckwithable Woman. I'm Bryony Montgomery, somatic therapist, mother, ritualist, and a woman in deep relationship with my body, my lineage, and the cycles of rupture and return. This episode is a call inward, a call to remember the intelligence of your nervous system, to understand how chronic dysregulation can shape our lives, and to explore how tending to the nervous system isn't just personal, it's ancestral, collective, and deeply political. Today we explore how the mother wound, inherited archetypes, cultural trauma, and long-standing patterns of freeze, shutdown, and survival show up in the body, and how grief and rage hold the keys to reclamation. So let's begin with the nervous system. Because before you can heal, you need to understand what you're living inside. Most women I work with don't realize they're dysregulated. Why? Because they're functioning, they're parenting, they're caregiving, they're running businesses, they're doing it from a place of shutdown, of what I like to call functional freeze state. An unregulated nervous system might look like exhaustion that never lifts, a constant feeling of pressure in the chest or belly, difficulty connecting to pleasure or creativity, emotional flatness, chronic tension, autoimmune flares, gut issues. This is part of the functional freeze state. It's a trauma response that gets praised in our culture, and that's dangerous. When I had my son in 2007, it was a huge time for me because I just lost my mother in 2002 from cancer. And when I moved into becoming a mother myself, it was such a shock. It was such a shock to my system. And I moved into motherhood with as much focus and strength and drive as what I'd always lived my life. And I wanted a particular way in order to nurture and nourish my relationship with my son and become a mother that other women had, that had been Disneyfied in a lot of ways, that I saw in our culture as the optimal for myself and for my son. And what I didn't realize was that when I became a mother and I moved into that role, I was struggling internally with the grief of the loss of my mother, and also the reality of that I didn't have the community that I thought that I would have with having my son. And so in that, I felt isolated and alone, and I was in a dynamic in a relationship with his father, and that was not supportive either. And so I was navigating a really vulnerable, really very different time in my life, very new time being a new mother, with all of this ideologies that I'd had coming in that weren't actually matching up. What I did was I numbed the grief and pushed the anger down